Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
And welcome into Dynamic Friday number 4. This is one of the most fun things we get to do on a regular basis. So today, as you are well aware, we are going to go over a lot of stuff that's going to help you end the week on a positive note, a productive note, and most importantly, a profitable note. We're working to move a few of the old school methodologies that we have into the modern era of insurance sales and final expense. And this is one of them. The morning call concept has always worked. It's worked from the moment I entered this industry in 2015. It'll work for years and years to come. But hey, it's also fun to take it into the modern era and bring it face to face. We're working to bring things like CRMs into the modern era and take us out of a file cabinet and a Google Sheet and take you into a situation where you can engage and be alerted about what's going on with your book of business. And hey, sell people maybe you forgot even sold before. Today, after we open, Adam's going to discuss after I open, Adam's going to break down his week with you. And I don't know much about what happened, but I know he wrote a good amount of business. I know he had a good amount of leads, and I know it didn't come easy. That's interesting, right? Like you can have a lot of leads, you can have fresh leads, you can have business written, but sometimes it doesn't come easy. So when I step off screen and he takes over, I'm excited to hear what he did, how he did it, and how maybe you can take those experiences, those methodologies, and apply them into the field today. Also, I'm going to share with you some persistency tips that have always worked for me. So appreciate you being here today. If something that we say today helps you make money, is interesting, is educational, is something you've never heard before, or you're with our agency, I really would appreciate dropping us a comment so the algorithm works in our favor. All right, so I'm going to go over some persistency tips of my own and then turn the call over to Adam for his thoughts. Number 1, policy delivery. The best, whenever I hear an agent say to me, I'm having trouble with persistency, like I have too much business falling off the books. You know the first thing I'm going to tell them? Well, go back to delivering your policies. Or if you're selling over the phone, make sure you're texting them and mailing them something tangible very soon after you've made that sale. Policy delivery was one of the biggest reasons why I had a 93% persistency in one of my biggest years of sole personal production. I was at an IMO convention in my first couple of years of the business, and I heard a leader in that organization say to me, "You should deliver all your policies." And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to do what I'm told here. It seems like that person's making a lot of money. Let's try it. What could it hurt? So for a good part of the next year, I delivered every single policy that I could. Now, you can't deliver all of them. Some of them don't get mailed to you, but that doesn't mean you can't make a 30-day touchback, right? That doesn't mean you can't deliver a thank you card or call them or visit them a second time. This is the tip that is also directly compatible to Medicare. If you're not making a 30 or a 90-day touchback with your client, if you're not answering their calls when they call, I can guarantee what should be very sticky business is not going to be. So I would encourage you, if you want good persistency, good policy placement, and you're not selling 30 or 40 policies a month where you're just not going to have the time to do this, try delivering your policies. No, don't deliver them on a Monday or a Tuesday afternoon. This is an amazing activity for you to do Friday after you've written your goal and the money you need to make is made. And you can go back and have a stress-free conclusion to your week. Or one Saturday out of the month. Stack those policies high, put them in the front seat and hit the field and drop them off. I've always found as well when I'm delivering policies, this is a perfect opportunity for referrals, upsells, cross sells, and additional business you may not have found or discovered when you were there the first time. Next tip on persistency I have for you today, and hopefully I'm not stealing too much of Adam's thunder, but biggest mistake that I tend to make that would lead to fall off is writing the bank account down wrong. Like, have you done that before? Maybe comment below if you've made that mistake. I'm willing to admit live and on camera, I've done it plenty of times before. It's very easy to transcribe or cross over or miss a zero. And before you know it, you get an error, invalid account, no account located, or whatever it was, you're getting a chargeback. Well, guess what? Collect a voided check. Take a picture of a check, write it down, have them read it, double check it, whatever you need to do, make sure you have the correct bank information. One of the reasons I love Baltimore Life is Baltimore Life does a pre-check on the account. And if the account is incorrect, it tells you. So you almost can't make that mistake when you're using their product. Remember, you can look up routing numbers. You don't need to ask them for it. They actually find it pretty interesting on the consumer end that you already know it and you can find it. So don't worry about routing numbers. You know you can look those up, right? Make sure that you have the correct bank information. And if you get back that invalid account number or no account located, that's your mistake. We all make them, but go back and fix them. Number 3. Now, this one is super valuable, I think, to those of you that have just started to experience maybe that early wave of fall off, those chargebacks that come in right around month 4, 5, 6, and 7. You've never encountered this situation before, and the first time it happens, don't make the mistake that I made. So you're working out in the field, you're working over the phone, you're working midday, and you get an email from a carrier that Miss Johnson has canceled her policy. Guess what? Some of these carriers actually send out cancellation emails in real time. Some of them come in overnight, some of them never tell you. Don't know why they would do that. But if you get a notification in the middle of the day that someone's canceled, let me tell you something. Do not run over to their house and immediately show up and bang on the door and try to find out why the flip they canceled. It doesn't work. I made this mistake before, and it cost me not only time in the field, other sales opportunities, but was a major kick in my confidence. And I see agents making these mistakes before, and I don't want you to do that. If you get a cancellation email in the middle of the day, direct from the carrier, and you rush over to that client's home, guess what? That's the wrong time to be there. Emotions are high, tensions are high, and showing up there is not going to help fix the situation. Or maybe you wake up in the morning, you wake up to a chargeback email and you say to yourself, that son of a, I cannot believe she, and before you know it, you've dispensed with your plans for the day and you're going over to her house the very first moment and banging on the door like you were just dumped by your high school girlfriend. Bad idea. Stick to the plan you had for the day, no matter what your email tells you. Here's what I suggest. I suggest, and take it as it may, you come up with a list of those fall off situations. Call it your lapse list. And you write them down, you get them out of your email, you get them out of your eyesight, you put them in a black book aside for later. And after a successful sales week, you write your minimum 3,500. Maybe you write 5, 6, 7, it doesn't matter. You've hit your goal. Your money is made. Now you pull that book out, you go back and see those people, and guess what? Calmly and confidently after a successful week, you're going to conserve 1 out of 4 of them. Plain and simple. Next, when it comes to persistency, you got to have consistency. If you're selling 3,500 a week, hell or high water, which you got to be selling, or you're one kick in the pants for being kicked out of the business, and you're losing the statistical average of 10 to 15% that you're going to lose no matter how good or how good you are, and you're focusing on your primary company, your secondary company like Transamerica's Express product, and a third option as a last resort only, you're not going to fall behind on chargebacks. I promise. If you're outselling, you're going to lose a little bit of it. And as long as you're not spreading your business across 10 or 20 different companies, you're skipping weeks, you're getting lazy, you're underperforming. As long as you're doing your job correctly, you're going to have chargebacks, but they're never going to tear you down. Start changing that method around, and before you know it, you got 6K with one company, 3,000 with another, and you're hiding and rolling and skipping debts. Just try to stay ahead and get paid. Last one I have for you, then I'm going to turn the call over to Adam for his sales thoughts of the week, and then our long form training is something you've heard before. You know I'm going to say it, and it has to be said when it comes to persistency. It is true Social Security billing. I say it, Duford says it, Massey says it, Bowman says it, Whalen says it, because it works. Why did you watch carriers like Great Western collapse and fall out of the market? Because they didn't practice true Social Security billing. Their middle management knew it, their upper management didn't. You know it, so I hope that's what you're practicing. True Social Security billing also means using the correct Social Security draft date. We don't ask what day do you want the money to come out. We don't make it an option. They tell you the 5th, you put down the 3rd. This isn't up for negotiation. Ms. Johnson, what day do you receive your Social Security? 3rd of the month. That's the end of the discussion. That's the date you're putting on the application. And if they say otherwise, guess what you're doing? You're still putting the correct date down on the application. Now, carriers that use true Social Security billing obviously improve your persistency. And your lead company, whatever that lead company is with us, should be a carrier that does this. In fact, your second choice, Transamerica Express, should be a company, is a company that does true Social Security billing. And we have plenty of other good, solid number 3 options that do the same. Again, the year that I had a 93% persistency as a sole personal producer, qualified for a trip to Hawaii, was on stage at an IMO convention, I led with a company that used true Social Security billing, and that's part of the reasons why. Adam, I'm going to switch over my audio to my headphones, so hopefully I fix our error on the noise today and turn the call over to you for your thoughts on your sales week.
Thanks again, everybody. Good morning. So yeah, I'll go through my week. Honestly, it really wasn't that exciting of a week. Kind of like what you said, Chris, is that sometimes we really have to push and find those sales, and you just really never know how the week's going to go. I mean, you can expect a lot and end up with not a ton. Sometimes you could really expect the opposite. You could expect that, maybe you're not expecting to have the best of weeks. Maybe you didn't prepare well, but you find those sales. This week, I had like 25 new leads to work. I had the appointment setters setting up appointments for me. But honestly, I don't know. The week just kind of started off uh, a little. I don't know. I can't really think of a word. A little different than usual because usually I'm out in the field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But this week I had to mix it up a little bit. Was supposed to have a baseball game with my son on Tuesday, so I decided to take Monday as my day out in the field rather than Tuesday, and then take Tuesday as my office day. So just a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really feel like it was much different. Just another day out in the field, but. So I was out all day Monday. I had maybe 1 or 2 appointments set. Just didn't really get a whole lot with the appointments. Door knocked leads, kind of the same results, just not really getting anybody at home. And so I totally struck out on Monday. Just nothing too exciting about my Monday. Really nothing else to share about my Monday. Uh, and then Tuesday, when I could have been out in the field, I was home in the office. And then it rained all day. So the day that I planned on taking off, just sitting in the office and going out, having a coach at night, it didn't work out because we ended up getting rained out anyways. But anyways, Wednesday, kind of similar to my Monday. I had some appointments set, really wasn't getting a whole lot with anybody. I don't know if there's just something in the air or what, but just not great results. Uh, I sat down with a few people. I had a lot of cancellations, and it wasn't or no shows, I guess you could say. And it wasn't the appointment setters. These were appointments that I had already kind of had on the books, people that maybe I had already talked with. And that's where, kind of like what I talked about last week, we can't depend on follow-ups. We really need to focus uh, on making that sale on the initial visit, because and we can't give in to the person we're talking to. So many times it's, I'm just waiting to get paid. I'm just, starting a new job. I'm just looking for a new job. Like, well, they figure out ways to pay their other bills. I mean, they figure out how to pay their cell phone and their cable bill so they can watch TV. I mean, there's got to be a way that they can fit at least something into their budget. So we can't buy into the client. And I think that's sometimes we do. Sometimes we buy in. We know the people that we're working with are on a fixed income, at least in the final expense market. They don't have a whole lot to work with, but we just need to figure out a way to work it into their budget on the initial visit. Because like I said, the chances of making a sale after that, pretty slim. And yeah, Wednesday morning, first appointment was a guy I had talked to last week. Wanted me to come back this week. Came back and the guy wasn't home. I called him. He just wasn't still ready to move forward. Of course he wasn't. Like I said, that's my own fault. I should have been better on the first visit to get it done right then and there. Kind of like the one person that I told later last week. Well, I can't come back. I'm only allowed one visit. And like I said, to me, that's being honest because I'm only going to allow myself one visit. So if that's to me, I mean, that's an accurate statement to the client. The next one, same thing. I mean, the guy just I couldn't get anywhere with him. No money, was going through a divorce. Told him I couldn't come back. He just still wasn't ready. Uh, Appointment after that, same thing. So my Wednesday, same thing, was almost a wash. I ended up writing a policy holder of mine that uh, I she actually took out a new policy with me last month, and I screwed up the bank information. Uh, like what Chris was talking about a few minutes ago, is a way to mess up persistency if you don't do your job correctly. Well, I mean, that was one that I had already gotten paid on, but because I was one digit off on the bank, well, that led to a chargeback that I ended up having to go back and rewrite. So my Wednesday, the only thing I wrote was a rewrite. Uh, and then yesterday, I actually did sit down with somebody uh, that was kind of like a follow up. It was one that I'd been working on for a while. Actually, this lady, she had some pretty significant health issues. I sent Chris over. I took a picture of her medications, and I mean, she was like on a shopping list of meds. Uh, it was like 3 pages full of medications. But like looking at the medications and seeing what Chris had written earlier in the week. Chris wrote one with the Transamerica Express product, and I think he mentioned that the person was on a medication for seizures and a few other things. So yeah, I ran it by Chris. I figured, what the heck, maybe even though they're on all these different meds, and there's still a possibility we don't know what else the person was taking or had previously taken over the last few years. But I did try running it through with the Transamerica and it came back graded. I ended up moving forward with another option, another carrier. I actually switched over to I would almost call it like a guaranteed issue product with one of the fraternal companies that I'm contracted with. And I'm telling you, boy, the rates were awesome. I mean, they pretty much beat out everybody, and there was nobody that was going to give this person a first day coverage policy. I mean, based off of the medication that she was taking, I would have been sitting there all day trying to figure it out. And evidently, I think there was maybe like some heart issues going on, but I remembered, that with the Transamerica, I think they look at the whole picture. They don't just look at if the person's got like a heart issue, that's one thing. I think she just had too many other things going on with her outside of just one condition. That's why they pushed her to graded. But anyways, yeah, I went to the guaranteed issue. This lady was 59 years old, and I wrote her a $25,000 policy for $103 a month. So I mean, I thought that was a great price for a guaranteed issue. I mean, most companies, I mean, even at that age, you're going to get maybe half as much coverage for $100 a month, maybe a little bit more, but not much. So, and then while I was finishing that one up, she pulled out this Mutual of Omaha graded mailer that she received. Their graded product where pretty much everybody is on a 2-year wait. And that's actually it. Yeah, it's like a guaranteed issue as well with the 2-year wait with the return of premium. And she said, I'm going to take this one out too for my brother. Uh, I'm the insured, but I want him to be the beneficiary on this policy. And the company that I wrote the guaranteed issue with, the 25,000 was the most amount of coverage that they would do. She was maxed out at 25,000. So the Mutual of Omaha mailer that she pulled out, the premium for 10,000, it was like I don't know, $42.80 or something like that. So I was just kind of thinking about it for a minute. I just wrote her this policy that's just a return of premium as well, where if she were to pass away within the first 2 years, that's pretty much all the family's going to get back is the money that was paid in plus the 10% interest. So I was thinking about it and I'm thinking, you know what? I know I can do a little bit better for her on another additional policy. Uh, so I went over the GTL with her and I told her, I said, well, look at this plan, 10,000 in coverage. It's a few dollars more a month. It was 53 a month for 10,000 at her age. But I told her that the first year it's the return of premium, but after the 12th month, at least by next year, it's going to pay half of that face amount. I told her with the Mutual of Omaha, kind of just like the other policy we wrote, the family's still going to be at a lot of risk over the next couple of years. I said, at least with this GTL, by next year, at least it's going to pay half. So it'll be worth 5,000 by month 13. I said, don't you think that's worth an extra $10 a month over that Mutual of Omaha that they're just going to return the premium? At least you'll be covered with 5,000 by next year. And she agreed. And so I ended up writing her two policies. I wrote her the one with the fraternal, which was, like I said, they call it graded. I look at it almost like a guaranteed issue, and that was 103 a month, and then the GTL for 53 a month. And then the rest of my day kind of went the rest of my week. Just not a whole lot. I had one appointment after that one. I showed up and the lady comes outside and says that her husband had COVID to come back in a couple weeks. I don't know if she was being honest or not. She might have just said that to try to shoo me away. But anyways, I'll go back in a couple weeks and see what I can do then. That's not going to be enough to push me away forever. I'm going to go back. So I put together a few other routes, sat down with a few people, just not much happening. And then it was about 5 o'clock at night. I uh, I ran and got a coffee and a small snack, and then I had a few leads that were like in another area that was about maybe 35, 40 minutes away. And I figured, well, heck, I mean, I'll drive over there because I'll have a little bit of time once I get over that way to hit, 3, 4 leads, whatever. So as I was driving, I got a phone call from a client of mine, and her niece needed insurance. And they were probably about an hour away. And I just ended up pulling over and I talked to the niece on the phone, went over a few things with her. And and then I ended up going over there. I decided rather than the direction I was heading, I ended up driving over to their place. And I ended up writing her up with her husband. And they were younger. She was 30, he was 32. It ended up being, I think, maybe like a little over 700 annualized total between the two. It was like maybe 760 annualized, something like that. So not bad. I mean, like I said, the week was just kind of, I don't know. It was just kind of like not the best, but still wrote some business. I think I'm at a little over 3,000 for the week. I think maybe like 3,200 for the week. And and I do have an appointment today. I usually don't work on Fridays out in the field. This is another one that I've been trying to get a hold of for a while. That it's like a guaranteed sale. It was actually one that it was one of my dad's policy holders that somehow the policy they did like some sort of look back on it after it was issued. This carrier did this and they ended up rescinding it. There was just stuff that wasn't disclosed. He doesn't write a whole lot out of like the one carrier that he uses. So he said, well, go visit with this person. You can probably do something for her. So appreciate his help too. He's been in the business for, oh man, close to 50 years, and he doesn't get out in the field anymore pretty much at all. He does majority of his business over the phone. And this was just somebody, same thing, that maybe wanted to sit down with me or sit down with somebody, didn't want to conduct any more business over the phone. And I just have maybe some additional options that I can help her with. So yeah, like I said, that one is kind of just like an added bonus. I think it's a sure sale. That one I'm probably going to try to push through with the Transamerica Express. I've I haven't written any with them yet, but it looks like a good product. Tried it once or twice. I'm hoping for better results the third time. So But that's about all I have. Like I said, I don't think I really had a whole lot of excitement out there this week. Uh, Ended up writing a lot of fraternal business, which doesn't happen too often. I'd say 3 out of the 4 apps I wrote, one, two, actually 4 out of the 5 apps I wrote so far were with fraternal companies. So just kind of went that way. But
what Adam was talking about earlier, how there are no be backs, such an important lesson. He went back a couple times on a couple people, and guess what? Waste of time. You got one opportunity while you're there to get in the home and to give the presentation while they're on the phone or face to face with you. That's your chance. There are no be backs.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.